Welcome to the Cynical Marketers podcast, where the greatest minds in marketing, we think, discuss marketing for an audience of several. And now, your hosts, Mike and Nada. Hey everybody, welcome again to another episode of the Cynical Marketers, episode 19. We're almost there.
One away from 20.
One away from 20, the magic.
The magic number.
I think all the riches immediately start happening, right? That's when we start getting rich.
We're going to start competing with Joe Rogan in episode 21. Absolutely happening.
So, I mean, we're one away from the magic, everybody. Mm-hmm. Those of you who've stuck with us from the beginning, we will quickly forget about you as we take off into fame and fortune. But, you know, all you little people out there.
This is why we're the Cynical Marketers.
I know.
Exactly for that comment.
So this week, what I wanted to talk about was something interesting that happened on LinkedIn. You know, I just post on LinkedIn thoughts here and there, right? Not really trying to be a LinkedIn influencer or anything, but doing what I'm supposed to do as a marketing professional. And I posted something about personal experience. And I haven't been a consultant forever, 6 years now.
Yeah.
But I posted about the view of coming in from the outside and whatever it is, like for me in the marketing world, you're coming in from the outside. The most important things you need to figure out are not necessarily the budget, you know, what the problem is or anything like that, but it's
the tools.
You need to immediately figure out the internal politics of that place that you're coming to, or you will get derailed quickly and you will not see it coming. Especially if you're not figuring out those internal politics, you're going to get blindsided and your time with that company will be short. And I was writing from experience. This is one time so far I got completely blindsided and I was done. I was out at that place. And then I just had it recently with somebody currently where I saw what was happening now. And from past experience, I'm like, ooh, this needs to be addressed and let's deal with this. So,
yeah.
But I just put this out there. I didn't think anyone would care. And it kind of caught on a bit, you know?
I mean, it caught on a lot more than a bit, Mike. Let's be honest. So you've had over 40,000 folks look at this post and you've gotten a ton of comments. And I think a lot of people in our field and who do what we do, or any type of type of freelancers, contracting, fractional
comments from folks who weren't marketing, but
right. Anytime you are a fractional, anytime you're a fractional anything, really, like a contractor, a freelancer of any kind, you know that you coming in can ruffle some feathers for sure. And there's a lot of people that related to you on this post.
More than I can't believe, you know, I just kind of thought it was my personal experience and, you know, it can be hard to deal with.
Yeah. Well, look, I think this is what you and I talked.
It was just me. Like, I've thought that when I went in, like I was in Kansas City with somebody, this one that I just got obliterated on, that I'm like, man, was it me? Like, what did I do? Like, all I thought I was doing was, I just thought I was here to help. And you're like, that went bad. You know,
you're like, but that didn't go well.
Yeah.
I mean, I have worked on, you know, and we've done enough consulting, I think, you know, together separately, but I've also worked on the agency side very recently. And that was also something that was a consistent theme across this experience, where if a client came on and you were sort of, you know, filling in a role that somebody else already had on that team as an agency, and now the owner of the business wants to rely on you more so than their internal resource, immediately the people that you work with directly day to day are not going to like you. They're going to make your life hell. And so, you know, in your post, you said the question to ask as you're stepping in is, who was handling this before I came in? Right. And it's something that I don't think I've ever asked. I've done enough consulting. I don't think I've ever asked that question. And it's such a great question to ask, you know.
Because in our world, what I'll get, because we do marketing, so we work with businesses, you know, we really like businesses that are like, they've begun to grow and they're growing beyond word of mouth, for example. So now they want to start doing some marketing stuff. So you'll talk to an owner, you know, or the head of a business who will say something like, we've never had marketing in our business. We don't have anyone here. And you're like, look, somebody's
doing something.
Thought that they were the one.
Yeah.
They've been doing your social media stuff, right? They have been handling some of this. And it's not rocket science, right? People can learn it and do it. But somebody in that place thought it was them, but the owner's like, no, we don't have anyone. Like, Susan over here. No, she just does it like
She
in
just
her
does the
spare
social
time,
media posting. Yeah.
and he's like, she's super busy with her actual job. Like, she's a really great accountant. I would prefer if she spent 100% of her time focused on that, but Susan's like, well, I love doing this and I really enjoy this. And this was a fun part of my job that I got me away from these numbers for a little bit. And I got to do something else. Susan's pissed.
Yeah. She's not going to be a fan of yours coming in. No.
Right. The owner's thinking he's doing a favor and that like, hey, she can now focus on this other thing. And what I've seen is the owners never have these discussions with people. The owner's just like, yeah, hey, this seems like the right thing to do. And I'm sure it's so apparently right to everybody. It will just, ta-da,
Right.
Hey, here comes these guys coming in. They're coming in from the outside. They're here to save us. And you're like, ooh, no, I'm not here to save anybody.
Right.
Yeah. And so there's not conversations had. There's assumptions that are always made. Owners make assumptions about what people think about their roles in the company. And, and then even if there's going to be a negative one, here's the other one that'll get you. The owner knows somebody's doing it and probably won't like giving this thing up, but he doesn't like the job that person's currently doing with it.
Right.
But I'm not going to tell him.
Right.
I'm going to hire you.
Yeah. I'm going to hire you and you tell them.
It is a you problem now, not a me problem,
And it's wild though, because you posted this, right? And you very kind of openly talked about what your experience has been. And it's like, hey, it's not the scope. It's not the systems. It's really the internal politics. And just the comments overwhelmingly that I think for me, when I was reading this post from you and then the replies, it almost felt validating, right? Because like you had mentioned, like, is it me? Am I just not doing something right? Am I not relating to the people? There's just so many comments where like somebody said, my job is to grow your business, not be in a soap opera with you, right? Like that was one. Other folks are like, yeah, I've been doing this, since 2010. This is the toughest part of the job. It's like people, and because people don't like change, right? Just overwhelmingly responses that are like, yes, this is a problem, like from every side of the industry, you coming in as a consultant in any way. And I think especially in marketing, because somebody is doing that job already, right?
Somebody was doing it. And even if they fired somebody now and you're going to come in and replace, that person has friends in that place. They're mad about their friend being gone.
Yep.
I had that. Like, I've experienced this. Like when I used to be a restaurant GM, I had 2 different times in the restaurant business where I had to go take over operations for GMs that had been fired.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And I walked in 2 different times. Like the first time I did it, I just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I just got promoted. That's how I got promoted. So I'm super excited. I'm like, I'm going to come in this place. And I walked in. I'm like, everybody hates me. I didn't do it. They don't know me. And the second time it was the worst one even. But I've experienced it before. But that was because of like traumatic staff changes that were happening, right? So it made sense. But really, I think, again, even you're coming in from the outside, you're an outsider, and it's about change. People don't like change of any kind. And the way jobs are, the job market, the world today, like you have a status quo going on in your job. If anything changes, people are looking at that, a barometer, right? And they're like, uh-oh. Right. What's about to happen? They just hired an outsider. We didn't hire insider for this. We didn't hire our own marketing person. They're outsourcing this. Are they going to outsource accounting next? Why would they keep me on staff? If he's outsourcing this one, I'm next. The next jobs are coming. If we allow this to work, the owner's going to love it. And all of us could get replaced by consultants, right? Like, so it's not, again, that people are just looking to be mean.
Right.
It's a change thing. Your job security, it's stressful out here.
It is really stressful. And I think like
we're stressed out of our minds, right? Like every day. So
and my experience on the agency side. So like I have forever had been on the client side. I've been the client. Then when, both of us have run our own businesses, right? So we've done that side of things, as well. And you get into almost a competition when you go in as a marketing person, right? You go into the company and especially when I was on the agency side working at Noggin, every client that we got had their own marketing department to some extent. There was somebody there doing this job in a lot of situations, right? So, you get in, like I had a client that was two separate retailers. Obviously, I'm not going to name them, but they had an entire marketing team on their side. So they signed with an agency because they wanted the SaaS part of the services, but then they also got another part of the service, which included a marketing and a business strategic component. And now you, as a marketing person on the agency side, are sitting on this call with other marketing people, right? Who are like, why are you here? You're about to compromise all of our jobs, right? If you, as an agency, and your team is successful, then these people here that were doing email and SMS and creative and strategy and planning the calendar, then they have no use for those people on the client side. That client will eat you alive. It will not matter what you do and how good you are at the job, because their owner, their CEO, and these were big brands, by the way, like their CEO had made that decision. It didn't include them. They're all terrified. That's exactly what you were talking about, Mike, right? Like they're terrified for their jobs. You can't be successful coming in as a consultant of any kind through an agency, freelance, contract, fractional, whatever. And you're not going to get support from these people. They will make your life a living hell. And it's hard. And then it's like, and it's
you say they'll have problems with. And the hard thing for you, and why I said in my post too, you won't win that battle, is because they're there every day. You're a remote employee.
Right.
You're not there at the water cooler. You're not in the side conversations. They're there. And they're working with these folks and these other people, right? And then you're just this outsider, and then they're just going to constantly undermine you. Like, did you see this? Did you see this email creative they just made?
Yeah.
This is what you guys are paying for? Really?
And this is also on the owners too, right? So like specifically, like you and I had an experience when we were contacted by someone who had worked with both of us previously, right? And that person was like, hey, would love to bring you guys in. We have this great business opportunity. There's a lot here that we can do. We need email. We might need, we need retention support and loyalty support, right? You guys are experts in the strategy side of things and execution side of things. Come in and do this job. And then we're sitting in 2 weekly meetings with folks who are like, why are you guys here? That excitement and that need for this particular, to fill in this gap that this business was missing was never communicated, trickled down.
It was only from the one person.
And then
we had that in that case, there was somebody there doing it already. Right. And I didn't think doing a bad job either.
Right.
So when you looked at what they were doing, you're like, well, what do you, now we know, like we thought we really had a good relationship with the owner of this. So we're coming in to do this. Now I know, again, based on this experience, that I would ask to clarify in that situation, because that guy was doing it. Do you want to free him up for something else?
Right.
Or are you not happy? Because I'm looking at his work and it's not bad.
And
I don't know how much lift do you think like we're going to produce? Like he's following a pretty good plan. He's got a strategy. His stuff's pretty good. Like, is it that you want to free this person up for something else?
And which, by the way, none of that was necessarily communicated to us at the start.
So the guy's like, what is the problem here? Like, why am I not doing this? Like, and then we had to have him as the approver.
Yeah. So here is the thing though. If you're a business owner, if you're a founder, and we meet with a lot of folks who, just a marketing agency connotation in general, like marketing is not often well received by businesses, right? Because they've been burned by agencies. They've been burned by consultants. So a lot of times they're skeptical about what they're signing up for. I think those are great questions for marketing folks to ask ahead of time, right? Who's doing this job now? Just like you outline in your post, Mike, and maybe we'll link that. Like, I think we'll link that in this description for this podcast. So, cause it is really helpful. And a ton of folks found it relatable and helpful. And they've also provided some insights into like questions they've asked, right? But then as a founder, that entrepreneur, business owner, founder, CEO, whatever your title is, if you're that decision maker, don't make your team feel like you're working against them. And don't, like, the best chance of success you have hiring contractors, contractor, agency, freelance designer, whatever that role is that you're hiring from the outside to fill in a gap, is making sure that your team understands why that person is there, and that person is there not to steal anybody's job, not to step on anybody's toes, but to be a part of the team. They just happen to be a contractor, right?
Yep.
Like,
When I
it's
was
not
CMO
that freaking hard.
Grunstyle, when I was a CMO at Grunstyle, we had agencies for, well, two different things really. And one wasn't really an agency, but they kind of acted that way.
Right.
But they were there to cover skill sets that we did not have in-house.
In-house, yeah.
Not to do anything else. They tried.
God bless, they tried. I know.
Come in and take everything over that. And I'm like, no, I have people for that. And I'm not firing people. Like, they tried to take over everything.
I know, because they tried to take my job. I know. I'm aware.
Your job was one they wanted to get.
Yeah. Badly.
And I was always like, no. You have this specific skill set that we don't have. This is what I need you to do. You don't know this other stuff. They're already killing you at this. So I was mad at this actually, but so they definitely tried. But when we had agencies before, that was the thing. It's like, hey, they were filling in at a specific skill gap. Yeah. Not as kind of this overall thing, right? So we knew it. You guys knew it. No one was doing this thing. No one wanted to do it. So that's what we're going to use these guys for. Right. And then their scope was very limited, and it was made clear. Right. That this is your scope. Here is your lane, and that's it. So if you're a leader of a business and you're going to bring folks in, and we would like to be brought in, I would like to be paid some money by people.
Hit us up.
Great. If you got it, I like to eat some food, and I enjoy paying my bills. So, so we would like to be brought in from the outside, but as a leader, when you're doing that too, like, you have to communicate with your team what's going on. Yeah. And we have learned this too about better qualifying questions, better onboarding processes that we have improved through our own failures. Right.
Absolutely.
Because I know as a marketing agency, I'm supposed to tell everyone we're perfect all the time, 100% of the time. And every word that we ever say is going to 100x your sales. Immediately, but we have told clients that we are not the right fit. That's another thing though too. I think it's really hard, and I remember this from very early on in my career, right? When I did consulting very, very early on, and at the time you were a freelancer, terminology has changed. The actual job has not, right? I've always done email marketing, transitioned to SMS loyalty, now all of kind of a all-encompassing retention. But when you're eager to take any job, like to take any, like, I need this, right? I need money coming in. I need this job. I know that a lot of the times you kind of can early on do things sort of out of necessity. And I think that's fair. What we've learned over experience in just working with all kinds of different clients, we are luckily now in a position where we could say, no, this isn't the right fit. And we'll be ethical and honest about it. And we won't try to waste your time or ours because we don't want angry people, right? But we've also, a lot of the times, I think agencies, freelancers, fractional teams will jump in and they'll be like, you need to sign a contract, right? For us, we don't do contracts. And this isn't like pat ourselves on the back promo, but we don't do contracts because of this very thing, because we want to be able to have a way out also, right? We don't want a company to sign on with us for a year and then we get in there and we find out that, like you mentioned, somebody was doing this thing that they've really enjoyed. And now that component of their job is being taken away to go do something else because the owner said so, right? But we still have to interact with these people every day. It becomes a very unpleasant situation. You're sitting on a call, getting yelled at, which, Noggin was notorious for, and I don't even care for saying that. Yeah, no.
They were. I mean, I've been yelled at more there for 3 years than ever in my entire career. Then client is mad. People are upset. It's an absolutely miserable working situation, right? Mm-hmm. If you are a designer, a freelance, whatever your role is that you are contracting your work to another company, make sure that you also take care of yourself. Ask those questions ahead of time, like Mike said, and that are in his post, like ask who was doing this job. Does the team know I'm coming in? Whatever those questions are. But also make sure you cover yourself and have a way out if this is an absolutely miserable situation, because we've been there. We've been there and not had a way out, and we've been there and had a way out, and having one is much nicer.
And you as a consultant have to be realistic with businesses.
Right.
Because I know every consultant in the marketing world, we're supposed to guarantee you 100x. We just looked at a website today that was guaranteeing 1,000 leads
in 30 days
for businesses. I'm like, there's no way. How do you do that? Like, there's no way.
Not for every, but there is no way to do that for every business in every way.
I know.
No.
But I'm like, well, they just put it on the website, and I guess businesses fall for it.
Don't oversell
that's
yourself.
That's gotta be an unpleasant conversation when you come in at like 250. I can't imagine what that conversation looks like, or where you're just like, yeah, give it like 3 months, whatever. But
yeah,
as a consultant side, be realistic about what kind of lift really a business owner can expect, right?
Right.
Because what's happening, like we said in that previous experience, there was somebody who was doing the job and they weren't doing bad, I didn't think. So,
right.
Okay, so really what we're going to do is just kind of take it over and continue this. Maybe there's some tweaks to do, but you're actually going to get like our full-time attention, and that person gets freed up to do something else, right?
Yeah.
What is the success state going to look like if you come in and start working?
Yeah.
You know, and you can't just as a consultant say, we're going to 100x your sales, because you don't, like, unless you really know what's going on in that business right now, what really are you going to come in and do? Because really what I always tell businesses, the most important thing about hiring folks like us, and that is that it is regular, consistent attention to help you stay consistent and focused over a long period of time. There's no magic, really. Right. It's not like we're going to write some fancy words on some post and all of a sudden you're going to do $1 million a month.
Right.
You know, really you hire outside folks. They give you a new perspective.
Right.
Because we don't know those things that you guys are all handcuffed by, the way we've always done things in the past.
Right.
The handcuffs in your business. We're not handcuffed by that because we don't know. So we're bringing in some fresh ideas. And
and it's always consistent. And I think, like, for us personally, we always view it as a partnership, but we know we've done this long enough to know that's not always how it's perceived by the client. So just be conscious of those things and really, you know, I'm actually so glad that so many people in your comments on LinkedIn, Mike, like, understood, right? Like, they understood, they've dealt with it. They offered some helpful advice. People were saying this is really, you know, something that hits home for them. So we're not the only ones experiencing that. And I think
it's a shared experience among lots of different job titles and things of people going out there. So it must be common enough to be a thing.
Especially in the remote world that we live in.
Yeah.
You know?
You as consultants out there, freelancers, whoever, this is something to be aware of and to be thinking about. So it is super important, especially if you like to keep that paycheck coming in, because fumbling the politics, you know, you will fumble the bag. Yeah.
That should go on a t-shirt. I think that's the CTA, right? Like, fumbling the politics is fumbling the bag. I like that. I'm adding that to my Mike-isms.
Any of these? Have you had experience in this?
Yeah.
If you're a business owner, you know, have you had bad engagements and things go wrong this way? But let us know. We'd love to talk about it more. There we go. Another episode. The next time you hear from us, everybody, it will be episode 20.
The magic 20.
I know. I'm so excited. I can't believe we're here. We launched on January 1st, everybody.
Yeah.
So
good
we're
stuff.
excited.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget YouTube, Spotify. TikTok.
Website, TikTok.
The website. Lots of places you can find us. I'm sure by now you can check us out in lots of places. So we really appreciate you folks. Again, I know we joke about it. We're 19 episodes in. We do have some fans. Our viewership is growing slowly but steadily.
Yes.
We really do appreciate it. It is crazy that anyone would want to tune in to listen to what we
appreciate you guys. We love that you're listening.
Honored by anyone who's done it. So thank you again. We'll see you next time for episode 20, everyone.